Hey, Nick from Playbook and Harvest Profit. Hope you're having a great day. Just wanted to follow up on yesterday's video where I chatted about one of the shortcomings that we've uncovered after doing some customer development in the Playbook specification and initial designs. And as you might know or not know, one of the features in Playbook is to have a list of processes. And then you can get to, if then logic. So if this, then we fork one way. If that, we fork another way. And you can go down different process paths, and then you can fork again. So, we call that, our A/B decision, a decision fork. Well, in all reality, that doesn't necessarily describe the most common use case. It would more than likely be a multivariate, you know, you have a drop down and you have four different options in the drop down that you can select. And if you select one, then you go down this path. And so the A/B fork is too limiting based on about a dozen conversations that I've had with users. And then, on top of that, it creates a UI challenge if all of a sudden you have three or four nested if statements on how do you display that data, how do you show it in the to the user who's filling out the checklist. It's not necessarily obvious that what that fork would represent. And then as the logical way to present the UI is you indent the two different decision paths, and then maybe a third path. But it starts to get a little bit messy from a UI standpoint. And so what we're thinking, where we're thinking is, if you've been reading the screen here, going to pivot this feature to a much more flexible way of doing the conditional logic. And here we are almost halfway done with this journey of starting a software company in 100 days. And I should have uncovered this. I had my intuition told me that this fork logic was a little too limiting, right from the start, but we went with it. And really, as the weeks have gone by here, it's just kind of bothered me on, we want this just to not be a simple checklist tool. We want there to be some conditional logic in there because those conditions represent real world businesses, and very few, there's a lot of processes that are standard with no conditional logic, but really the magic in a tool like this is being able to, to manage that type of logic. And so definitely not the ideal time to do this, but just going to jump ahead and do it. And so as I sit here right now at the end of our workday, I'm speccing out this conditional logic and what it would be. And so to start with, we have three components within our task building tool, and that is you can create checkbox lists, you can create multiple choice, you can create drop downs. And so what we're going to build is we're going to have these four conditions for now. Does the checkbox list contain a value? Does the multiple choice contain a value? It does not, or it does not contain one of those values. Or does the drop down match or does not match one of the choices? And so, thinking out loud here, I think this is actually wrong. A multiple choice is meant to be one choice. And so I need to change this. So it's the drop down or the multiple choice. So editing in the real world here. Then they have the ability to show or hide one or more tasks. And so this is really the logic behind what we're trying to do here. There's a much, maybe not a more pressing issue, but how do we present this in a UI that is easy to understand, not intrusive, looks nice? And so for this, I'm going to be working on building out that UI today, tomorrow, an initial mock-up of it. I'm going to hand that off to the developer. So I'm hoping that we can fit this in the first MVP version. We have, let's say, 6 weeks, 6 weeks of development time approximately before we want to roll out the first MVP. And so this is definitely going to be pressing. This is definitely not ideal timing, but this matches up with how I think about the product and how many other people that I talked to over the last week think about the product. And so, hindsight's 2020. We can't go back in time, so we're going to make the best decision we can from here and move forward. And so, flushing out this text-based specification is priority number one, and then doing the UI is priority number two. And so I will show you more of the UI tomorrow as I'm working on that here the rest of today. So just wanted to share with you that I've made the decision to do the feature pivot to move away from the fork logic to multiple choices, much more flexible way to build the feature, and it is a more friendly UI. So that's it for today. Love to have you subscribe if you like these videos. Hopefully you're learning something. If you have any comments, questions, feel free to post them below. Would love to communicate with you. And yeah, thanks for following along in our journey. We're almost to the halfway point. I've crunched our time considerably by making this decision, but it is what it is. So onward and upward from here, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.